Hello everyone, welcome to the second lecture, or you can say second chapter of this course. And in this lecture I'm going to talk about basic aspects of quality control of foods. Okay, so first let's talk about some definitions. So what do you understand by the word quality control, and the quality control and the quality control word? Okay, so usually whenever we heard the word quality, basically what we understand by quality means, in case of food, a quality food means which will have the expected characteristics, okay, the desirable characteristics up to the mark, okay. So, if we say the definition in more formal way, or you can say the by book definition, so the word quality as applied to the food stuff should be used to refer those attributes of the foods which make it agreeable to the person who eats it. Here, attributes mean the characteristics that the food should have, which will make it acceptable to the consumer. Okay, so these attributes involves, there are some positive factors such as color, flavor, texture, and nutritional value of the food, and some negative factors. That means the food should be free from any harmful things, harmful microbes, harmful chemicals, or harmful particles. For example, metal. Sometimes in some food, some small stone particle could be there. Food should be free from those. Okay, there should be no microorganisms, especially pathogenic microorganisms there. Okay, so whenever we say the word quality, it's basically referred to these attributes or characteristics of the food. Okay, and the term control may imply that a poor raw material can be converted to good finished product. Actually, the control means, control refer to those procedures or steps which are taken during the processing of the food to make a safe quality food for the consumer. Okay, so that means to make a safe food for the consumers. Okay, so basically in the other way we can say that control is those measurements which we apply to produce quality food. Okay, now what we understand when we combine these two words, quality control. So this term, quality control, actually has been borrowed by the food industry from engineering. Okay, so where almost all properties of the raw materials are effectively under the control of the designer and manufacturer. I mean, basically what it wanted to say that in the engineering field, so quality means all the raw materials, all the processing or properties of the raw materials should be under your control. Okay, so basically the food industry, they borrowed this concept of quality control from that industry. And under the term, under the quality control things, basically there are three areas which are considered. Okay, and these three areas are the raw material control, the process control, and the finished product control. Actually, in a food manufacturing plant, all these three areas should be successfully controlled. Okay, you have to control the raw material quality, you have to control the process, also you have to control the finished product to finally produce a good, safe food for the consumer. Okay, so what is the aim of the quality control or quality control system? So we all know the aim of quality control is to achieve as good and as consistent a standard of quality in the product being produced as is compatible with the market for which the product is designed and the price at which it will sell. Okay, long sentence, but if you break it down, what it means. So, what is the main aim of quality control? To produce food with consistent quality. What is consistent quality? Suppose your food should have contain a specific type of flavor, a color, a texture. So okay, so say you are producing one quality food today, which it has some color, flavor, and the next day you are producing something different. The color is not same, the texture is not same. Okay, the smell is not same. Okay, so that means there is no consistency. Okay, it is it okay if your food don't have any consistency in this characteristics, actually you will not do good in the market. So it's important that your product has consistency, because consistent quality, consistent, that means consistency in the color, in the texture, in the flavor, and also in terms of those terms of those hazards, like consistently your food should not contain any biological hazard, any chemical hazards, any mechanical hazards. Okay, and also not only consistency, also your final product should be compatible with the market where you are going to sell the product. I mean, each market has different demand. Actually, what I mean by demand here, who will take this food? The consumer. So there are many countries, many different kind of peoples. Okay, so different people sometimes have different taste. Okay, different likeliness. So maybe like say American people or European people or the Japanese people, maybe they like a particular food in a particular flavor. But suppose in Asia, in Bangladesh, maybe we also consume the same product, but maybe we want it in a different flavor. Okay, that's why actually so, for example, Coca-Cola, okay, the most famous drinks. You will find different flavored Coca-Cola in different countries. Okay, so especially like in Japan, there are some flavor, mocha flavor there. You will not find the mocha flavor here actually, because mocha flavored Coke, Bangladeshi people we don't like that one, but Japanese people like that one. Maybe in Europe you will also find a different flavor. Okay, for some food it's actually true. Okay, and it's also true for the texture. Okay, so like maybe we Bangladeshi people, I mean most of the Bangladeshi people we don't like sticky rice, but some Asian country people they actually like sticky rice. Okay, so anyway, so that means your food also should be compatible with the market demand, and also the price should be competitive. Okay, so these are actually the aim of the quality control system, to make a food with consistent characteristics or consistent quality, and with a compatible price, compatible uh, competitive price. Okay, so now the question is how we can achieve a successful quality control system. Why we need the quality control systems? I have just talked about this also. How we can achieve this? Okay, how we can achieve a successful quality control systems? These are some measures that we can do to achieve a successful quality control systems. So let's talk about this. Reduction of waste by preventing error before occur. So suppose your processing, I mean food processing is going on. If any error occurs, there will be wastage. So we have to take the measures which will prevent the error from being happening. So if we prevent the error from happening, then the waste will be less. Okay, so that's reduction of waste by preventing error before they occur. One. Another, increasing the process efficiency using information from quality control tests. So basically, suppose you are I mean you have a manufacturing plant and you are processing food. So in say different steps we do different type of test to ensure that it's to ensure its quality. So you have to use the information, the data that you get from this test. Okay, and by using this data you need to increase the your or you need to modify your process. Okay, you need to, and by this modification you can maybe you'll be able to increase the efficiency of the process. Okay, so you can increase the quality of your process, you can increase the yield of your process. Sometimes events are also right. Yield means, suppose I mean you can increase your productivity. Okay, so and for this one you always need to use the test information, the information or data there that you are getting from the tests. Okay, then reduction of consumer complaints and safeguard brand image and credibility. This is actually a very important thing. I mean, if you are manufacturing something, your customers or consumers, they may file several complaints. You have to address this complaint and you have to solve those things. Okay, otherwise you cannot safeguard your brand image. Okay, then helping to control cost by detailed security of the raw materials and processing. Okay, so all your processing, okay, the processing involved in the raw materials and the final food production, Okay, you have to secure this process so any error don't occur. So by doing this, you will be able to keep your production cost in minimum level. Okay, then ensuring product safety by protecting the user from food processing and related risk. Okay, so I mean, you also have to protect the user, okay, the user from the food processing and associated risk. Okay, so it will eventually ensure the safety of your product. Okay, so this, I mean, that actually, I mean, this sentence may looks little bit confusing, but it refers that you have to produce safe food which will be safe for the consumers, that the consumers will not get any harm from your food. That means, suppose if your food contain any contamination with a pathogenic bacteria, your consumer may get uh, sick, okay, get disease from that. And not only this one, you also have to think about the people who are working in your plant, okay, working in the plant. So like the raw materials, they can contain various dangerous or harmful things, harmful chemicals, harmful microorganisms, or harmful mechanical things. So your process should be like that. Your the workers will be also safe from getting harm from those harmful things that are present in the raw materials. Okay, so by doing this one, we can achieve a successful quality control system. Okay, so now let's talk about the principles of quality control of foods. Basically, here principle means, I mean, what we need to do or what we should know if we want to establish a efficient quality control systems. Okay, so let's see. So, in planning a quality control system, it is essential to have a very clear idea of the target characteristics of your product. You have to know what you want to have in your product. I mean, what will be the quality of your product? Okay, so whether I mean, what will be the color, what will be the texture, what will be the flavor of your product, for how long you want the longevity. Like suppose, you know, some food maybe they have only they expire only after 3 days of the production. Some food they may expire for one year. Like suppose, for example, you're making juice or cold drinks. So if those juice or cold drink just expire after 3 days, I mean, how you will do the business, right? After production, you have to send your juice throughout the maybe the country, or you have to export those. So they should have some certain expiry. I mean, they should have a long expiry period, right? So maybe 1 year, or it depends on the food. And so, and also like your food, there may be I mean, in some food basically actually we can allow a minimum number of contaminant. In some food we can allow, but in some food they should be completely free from any contaminants. Okay, so that means you actually should have the clear idea what will be the final characteristics of your product. Because if you know the final characteristics of your product, then according to those, you will establish your quality control system, right? Okay. I mean, what kind of measures you will do in your quality control system. So, for example, say, okay, let's give an example of, okay, say you want to produce food for the astronauts. Okay, the two scenario. One, let's think about two scenario. One, you want to produce food for the astronauts, or you have to produce food for the people who are living in the earth. The quality of food actually will be very different, right? The quality of the food that the astronauts are going to consume should be of highest quality, because you know astronauts are in the sky. Okay, so if they get sick there, how they will get the doctor? It will be very difficult. But the people living in the I mean in the earth, okay, if they get sick, they can seek for treatment. Okay, so that means based on your purpose, the quality can be different. So you should know what will be the quality of your food. Because if suppose you want to produce food for the astronauts, the quality control measures, the systems should be very stringent. Okay, it should be very strictly maintained. Okay, and for quality of the for making food for the people living in the earth, maybe those I mean quality control measures will be less strict. It's actually important, you know, because the more strict or more strictly regulated process you want to do, the cost will be more higher. Okay, So in the industry, it's also important that you have to keep the price of your food within range. Okay, you just cannot make them very high. So basically, that's why all foods, they have some regulatory requirements, or they have some final accepted quality. Okay, that I will accept it food if it has this kind of quality. Okay, if it has this minimum quality. Okay. Anyway, so first, I mean, we should have a very clear idea of the target characteristics of the product. Then, it is essential to prepare as detailed a product specification as possible in advance. I mean, your product should contain all the information of the raw materials, information of its ingredients, everything. Okay, so if you know the details of your product, basically, based on those, you will establish the quality control systems. Okay, so what kind of systems you will going to apply to treat your product? Okay, so suppose one example, before processing, you need to treat your raw materials to kill microorganisms. So based on your raw materials, you have to decide which method you will use. You will heat them, or you will use dry sterilization process. Okay. Then, the product characteristics will be defined in terms of objective laboratory test, physical, chemical, and microbiological. Definitely, you actually will do some tests. Okay, do some physical test, chemical test, and microbiological test. On based on those you will define the characteristics of your product. Okay, and every test that you will do in the whole process should be properly documented. Please keep it in mind. This is very important. Documentation. You have to write everything down. You have to write down every details, everything. Okay, so from what you did, what you get, what was your action to correct it, everything should be documented. Okay, and those information you should inform to the proper management. Okay, so finally, so based on the characteristics or quality of the foods, we actually can categorize the food like grade 1 quality, grade 2 quality, grade 3 quality, grade 4 quality. It's actually it's true for every industry, not only food industry, every other industry, they also categorize their final products based on the quality that they determine through the tests, physical test, chemical test, microbiological test, and based on the test result, you actually can categorize the quality of your food: grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, and maybe then you can assign the price. Grade 1 highest price, and only these people can take the grade 1. Grade 3, definitely grade price of the grade 3 will be lower than the grade 1 and grade 2. Okay, so finally, there are some rules which should be followed to produce quality food in industry. Okay, now we're talking about the rules that we need to follow to produce quality food in the industry. So what are those rules? Rule 1: the dominant raw materials are selected for priority of attention. Okay, first, the dominant raw materials. Dominant raw materials means usually we don't produce one food from one raw materials, right? We use several type of raw materials. So maybe it can happen that one raw material is dominant. That means your final product contains 90% of the, say, that raw 90% from that raw materials. So you have to select which of the dominant materials. So in those dominant materials, you have to give more more what can I say? You have to consider those dominant materials more strictly. Okay, more you have to pay your more attention in those dominant raw materials. Okay, so rule number 2: the selected materials are tested in related to their contribution to the product quality. So let me give one example. For example, you are making juice or cold drinks. So your cold drinks will contain lots of water content, right? So if you want to make cold drinks, you have to use water. So water can be a source of many different pathogenic microorganisms, right? Water can contain like say some E. coli or some harmful bacteria. So if you don't treat the water properly before using them to making your cold drinks, your final products can contain those microorganisms that were already in the water, right? So basically, that's why you have to understand what will be the use of this raw material. Okay, what will be the contribution of this raw material into a final product. For example, I mean, in case of cold drinks, basically water is the main thing, kind of the main thing, right? So you now you know that in your cold drinks, water is actually the main thing. So now, as you know that, so now you can take the measures to treat the water properly before you use it for making the cold drinks. Okay, so actually that is said here. The selected materials are tested in relation to their contribution to the product quality. I mean, as the water can be act as a source for pathogenic microorganisms for your cold drinks. So that means before using the water, you have to test it, the whether what kind of contaminant microorganisms is contained, and based on that, you can select the preventive measures or treating measures for that water. Okay. So rule number 3: the raw material tested are released from the store only after the test results have been properly recorded. So in the industry, actually they have a warehouse. First the raw materials came and they stored those raw materials in the warehouse. Then they do the testing, and if the test result is okay or accepted, then the raw materials are used. Okay. The rule number 4: process control must relate the processing results to the raw materials test. I already talked about it, right? So you test your raw materials, then you know what kind of contaminants. It can be physical, chemical, and mechanical. So what kind of contaminants your food have. Okay. So if you know that, then you know what kind of processing control system you should apply. Okay. Rule number 5: define the critical control points in the process and concentrate attention on this. Okay, we actually will talk in details about the critical control points. We have a different chapter for that. So right now, just remember this: critical control points are those state or those area in your processing plant from where your food can get contamination. Okay, and these contaminations can be of all type: biological contamination, physical, chemical contamination, physical contamination. Okay, so all those points or all those steps, all those area in your industry from where your food can get contaminations are called critical control points. Okay, so you actually have to clearly define the critical control points of your processing system, and then you have to pay extra concentration or attention on those points. Okay. So rule number 6: finished product inspection should be reduced to the minimum level compatible with the confidence justified by the raw material and process control. Okay, so basically it's better that you so your finished product, so you just cannot check all your finished products actually, because during checking you can again contaminate those foods. So the processing should be like that. It's better that if you can apply the perfect quality control system during the throughout the processing, so it's more likely that your final products will be good, your final products will be safe. In that case, you actually can just check some random finished product to ensure the quality. Okay. Rule number 7: quality control is effective in proportion to its degree of integration into the overall organization of the factory. Okay, so quality control is effective in proportion to its degree of integration into the overall organization of the factory. Basically, if the quality control systems, it should be an integral part. It should be an integral part of your organization, I mean of your factory. So if it's more integrated, it will be more effective. Okay, so like if your quality control systems, I mean if you don't see the quality control system as a serious matter and don't follow the guidelines properly, the result will be not that good, right? So if you strictly follow the quality control system, that means you make it an integral part of your processing, then it will be more effective. Your final product will be more good. Okay, so that's all for this lecture. See you in the next lecture. Till then, take care. Bye bye.